The NBA is full of epic moments, but what about the ones that players wish we'd forget? Think of careers shorter than a timeout and playoff droughts that spanned decades. Today, we're diving into some of the most embarrassing records in NBA history. Just imagine this. You've been grinding day in and day out for years, dreaming of that NBA debut. Then one day, you finally make it to the NBA, you see the lights and the fans, and your adrenaline starts running, you finally step on the court, and then poof. Your career is over faster than an NBA timeout. That's the sad story of Jamison Curry. Here you can see Jamison stepped onto the court, subbed in for Chris Kaman, played some defense, and in a wild 3.9 seconds, his NBA dream both started and ended. Turns out the Clippers parted ways with him the day after his debut to make space for Bobby Brown on the roster. Since then, he could never make it back onto a roster. One moment he was on the court ready to ball out, and the next he was a trivia question for the shortest NBA career ever. Now, a few names might pop into your mind when you think of passion in the NBA, but one guy took it to a whole new level, and not always in the best way. Enter Rasheed Wallace, the technical foul magnet. Sheed's aggressive style wasn't just about playing hard, it was about playing with his heart on his sleeve. And sometimes that sleeve had a few too many technicals on it. In one season alone, this guy racked up a record-breaking 41 technical fouls. To give you a perspective, there are only 82 games in a season. This means he practically got one every other game. And if that wasn't enough, throughout his NBA journey, he got ejected a total of 29 times. I mean, at some point, you'd think he'd reserved a seat in the locker room or something. But here's the thing, as much as we joke about it, Rasheed's passion was undeniable. It's just that sometimes that fiery spirit got him into a bit more trouble than he probably wanted. Alright, moving on to another record that's, well, let's just say it's not one you'd brag about at family gatherings. We all know Charles Barkley, Sir Charles, an NBA legend, but even legends have their Achilles heel. For Barkley, it was the three-point line. Now, don't get me wrong, the man could ball, but when it came to shooting threes, yikes. By the time he hung up his sneakers, Barkley retired with a three-point shooting average of 26.6%. But hey, every player has their strengths and weaknesses, and while Barkley might not have been the king of threes, he was still a force to be reckoned with on the court. Next, we have what many people call the worst game ever played in the history of the NBA. You might be thinking, that's kind of subjective, isn't it? But no, this one is obvious. In 2021, the Oklahoma City Thunder faced off against the Memphis Grizzlies and produced an NBA record for the largest point differentiation in a loss. They didn't just lose, they got obliterated. We're talking about an all-time record of a 73-point loss. It looked like the Grizzlies were playing against a high school team. It was rough. Fans were probably checking their tickets to make sure they were at the right game. But hey, every team has its ups and downs. Some days you're on fire, and some days, well, you're the Oklahoma City Thunder. Alright, let's talk free throws. You know those free points that should be easy to score? It's just you, the ball, and the hoop. No defenders, no pressure. Well, unless you're Ben Wallace. Now, the man was a legend in many ways, a beast on the court, known for his defense and intensity. But when it came to free throws, oof. Wallace's free throw percentage was a mere 41%. He made Shaq look good. Even watching him shoot is painful. Just look at that technique. How did the training staff let this happen? You'd think they have the guys shooting free throws 8 hours a day. Speaking of tough times, let's talk about a season that's become legendary for all the wrong reasons. The Charlotte Bobcats, under the ownership of none other than the GOAT, Michael Jordan, had a season that was, how do I put this gently, a masterclass in how not to play basketball. With a record of just 7 wins and 59 losses, their team was a disaster. Fans were guaranteed a loss almost every time they stepped into the arena. So while the GOAT was amazing as a player, putting together the right ingredients to form a winning team wasn't his forte. So we can't blame the players entirely on this one. They were doomed from the beginning. Now, before we dive deeper into more of these wild records, can we just take a moment? If you're enjoying this roller coaster of NBA records as much as I am, consider hitting that subscribe button. Did you know that this many people who watch these videos aren't subscribed? Crazy, right? Don't be a part of that stat. Join the crew and let's keep reliving these unforgettable moments together. All right, back to the action. Now onto a record that's, well, it's a head scratcher. Picture this. It's a crucial playoff game. The energy is electric, every shot counts, and then the unthinkable happens. The Houston Rockets, a team known for their shooting prowess that year, missed not 5, not 10, but 27 straight three-pointers. 27! This is an NBA record for the most consecutive missed threes in a single game. I mean, just watching this is incredible. It's the kind of streak where you start wondering if there's an invisible lid on the hoop. I mean, these are professional players, some of the best in the world, and yet, on that fateful day, the three-point line might as well have been on the moon. Next, we have another drought that's even more impressive. You know that feeling when you're waiting for your favorite show's next season, and it feels like forever? Now imagine that feeling, but instead of a TV show, it's your favorite NBA team, and instead of a season, it's the playoffs. Welcome to the life of a Sacramento Kings fan from 2006 to 2021. They missed 15 seasons of the NBA playoffs. The Kings went through what felt like an eternity without tasting the playoff action. It's the kind of drought that makes you wonder if someone misplaced a lucky mascot, or if there's some ancient basketball curse at play. Was it the city, the players, or was it just a horrible front-end staff with no idea what they were doing? Probably all of the above. They're lucky they have a loyal fan base for all those years. I guess there isn't much to do out in Sacramento. Now, if you thought waiting for the playoffs was tough, let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers' infamous streak from the end of the 1981-82 season to the beginning of the 1982-83 season. A 24-game losing streak. To this day, it stands as the longest losing streak in NBA history. It's the kind of streak where you start questioning everything. Did someone change the basketballs? Are the hoops regulation size? Is the floor tiled? Back then, this could have been possible, especially in Cleveland. But in reality, what probably happened is that the players knew they wouldn't make the playoffs and could care less about winning at that point. Unfortunately, this carried over into the next season and created the now infamous 24-game losing streak. And there you have it, the worst records in the history of the NBA. From the shortest NBA career to 27 missed threes in a row, the NBA is full of unpredictable, wild, and downright crazy stories. Whether we're cheering or facepalming, one thing's for sure, we'll always be coming back for more.